Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Lost Legion. I'm your host, JR, and today I got my co-host, Daniel. How's it going, Daniel?
Pretty good.
All right, guys. So today we got a special episode for you. We are going to be doing a Legion tier for operatives to see who we think is the best. But before that, a couple of things we want to address is Shatterpoint has came out with the Sith Inquisitors, the rest of them, and the Dathomirian Night Sisters. Daniel, get a chance to look at that?
I did, yeah.
Let's start with the Sith Inquisitors, man. They look pretty good. What do you think?
Yeah, so I'm really hyped. What is it? The fifth brother? Is that
Mhm.
that's the yeah. So I mean, I think it's super cool. These are both one man supporting units, which is different than what we've seen. So I'm
Mhm.
excited just for that. And I think the fifth brother looks really solid. Like after playing, we played a couple games and then I've
Mhm.
played a couple other games. And so I'm starting to kind of get a feel for how stuff plays out. And I don't know, his abilities seem really good for a supporting unit. So I'm excited about him.
Yeah, I like the Inquisitor mandate where they win on ties. Like that's pretty
Yeah.
strong. But like I feel like that's gonna also make them suffer because they you don't have two in the unit, so you don't get to, what's the word I'm looking for? Contest another objective.
Right. Yeah, they have to only do the one.
The what's her name? The fourth sister looks pretty good as well, but I do agree with you. I think the fifth brother is where it's at, just because he rolls more defense size than melee, and I feel like this
And
is more.
he has extra health too, doesn't he? I need to pull up the
Yeah,
stats.
he does, and just because like this seems like a more melee game than anything,
Yeah.
um, which range is just kind of not it for me. But I say that with a grain of salt because they revealed Mother Townsend's stat card and the Night Sister acolytes, and they actually benefit more for shooting than they do in melee, which is kind of an interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know how I feel about these. Mother Talzin seems super cool. She seems like she's gonna be strong and awesome.
Mhm.
The other Dathomiri, they I don't I think they're gonna be weak. I think they're just gonna get knocked over. Their
Yeah.
defense doesn't look very good to me, but I could be wrong.
Well, I would agree with you. They're only seven health, and then they roll better defense die at range as opposed to melee, which I
So if
hate
they
to.
get on a point, they're gonna get jumped on and bopped.
Yeah, yeah. That's my.
It just feels weak to me. It feels like they're gonna die really fast.
But I like if they get hunker tokens, but you lose hunker tokens when you're in melee.
Right. So they're just so like you might have to take like Kenobi with them or something.
Mm.
And even then like they don't want to be at melee, but then you have to take Kenobi, so then they kind of are okay being I don't know. They feel to me like they're gonna be awesome for like the first struggle, but
Mhm.
then like second and third when you're kind of like crossing the board more, they're just gonna collapse.
Yeah,
But I don't know. I could be wrong. We'll have to see how it plays out.
that's like when I complain about Shadowpoint. It's a so melee centric focused game that I feel like since there's no other objectives that benefit range, like you don't want to run range. And then
Yeah.
on top of that, it's like, um, wow, I lost my train of thought. It's just I like it thematically. I like what they're doing with it, but yeah, they do seem weak. I like what like they have darkness of shadows and range attack and stuff like that. But good news is you're gonna have Sandra Press. So which brings me back to Mother Talzin. I like her abilities, her obscure shadows, and then her manipulating hand, where you get to make an enemy make a dash move. That's
That's pretty
huge.
cool. There's
Yeah.
not there is range on that one. Okay, I'm thinking of her other ability. But yeah, that is pretty cool. That is really cool.
And what I like is that obviously this is going to be good with Savage Press, but you can also take this, use this ability on Maul, the obscured shadows, because Maul's also a Deathmarian.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
live stream's cool too. I don't know. Have you had more experience since we last played with Shatterpoint?
I've played one more game since then. Yeah.
How do you? Because I know in our game when you were playing the good guys, you would heal. And how does healing one feel to you?
Healing one doesn't feel substantial. Like Ahsoka feels like a big deal because she heals three, and even
Mhm.
Bo-Katan feels okay because she heals two. Healing one, like it's pretty rare to be exactly knocked out. Like I guess I don't know if that's completely true because you could probably like stack conditions and that's probably, an approach, but it doesn't feel like it's not usually like, oh, you have 1 health left. I haven't seen very many people left with 1 health. So I just don't feel how important this is going to be. It could be. I mean, it's nice because it applies to everybody, right? All
Yeah.
of your Dathomiri. There's no range restriction on it, which is kind of cool. So,
Yeah, I
I,
also
yeah.
no, I feel you on that one. I mean, honestly, I still don't have enough experience to understand like how impactful this is going to be. But I mean, it's a free heal, so it's like it's cool. And then the Wrath of the Great Mother, which is pretty cool, which works. It's all for range. Like you make a dash and then you make a range attack, which is good because like Maul also has a range attack, and I'm assuming Savage Press probably not have a range attack. I don't know. I'm excited. I'm excited to throw this on the table with the Mandalorians and Maul. Like it's gonna be fun. Like it's just fun to me
Yeah.
thematically. But yeah.
I think Mother Talisman is going to be really good with Ventress, especially just because she does already do some of that healing. So this kind
Yeah.
of compounds with that. Because
Mhm.
Ventress, it feels like is always sitting at a couple wounds because just of the way she works. So I don't know. I could see it being really helpful with her, and then everything combos. Maul maybe, but he doesn't really want to heal. I don't know.
Yeah, it's kind of with Maul, but like I totally forgot about Asajj, and you're right. It worked weird with
I'm
Asajj.
excited to run her with Ventress. I
Yeah.
think that's the combo I'd probably run, at least with what we've seen so far.
Oh, that just bums me out even more because I can't run Maul and Asajj. Oh man, I just want to do thematic shit. That's all I want to do.
Yep, yep.
So yeah, guys, super cool, super sweet. They're on the Atomic Mass Transmission webpage. They look fun. I'm excited for them. I'm definitely gonna get these bad boys. All right, moving on. So Veterans Game Fest is happening on the July 7th and 8th. We got 10 players signed up right now. It's in Fresno, California, or Clovis, California. So if anybody that's looking to join, that's the date, 7th, no, the 8th and the 9th of July. Make sure to get your tickets and your Game Pass. And so that way we can, battle for that World's End fight. That's going to be happening once again, July 8th and July 9th in Clovis, California. I will put the description of everything inside the description area about where the location is and everything. Any comments?
Yeah, that's a fun event. I went to the convention that it's at last year. Just me and one of my buddies went, and it was a really fun time. It was a fun local event.
What do they have? Like a bunch of games just playing?
Yeah, so there's just they just let people sign up to come and bring their own game. So I almost like signed up to bring like Legion, but I just showed up. I decided just to show up last year. And
Yeah.
so we showed up and we just walked around, and people have like these massive like really beautiful tables set up with like all these different war games. And so you can just walk up and like talk to someone, and they'll probably try to talk you into a demo. So you'll play like 4 or 5 different, war game demos. That's what I did last year. So, I think depending on how this goes, it might be a 1 or 2 day event, depending on how many people sign up. And the entry fee will get you in for both days. So if you're not playing the second day, you can just go and play those other demos. That's probably what I'd do.
Yeah, that's what I'm like. This is gonna be my first time going, so I'm looking forward just to see all the games and obviously the tournament and just to see what kind of environment it's gonna be. So my first
Yeah,
year to go.
it's a fun time.
Yeah, looking forward to that. All right, guys, moving on. Let's get to what we signed up for.
The good stuff.
Yeah. I'm always right and Daniel's always wrong. All right, can you see that?
We had to kick out Jose for this one because his opinions were too controversial. So
yeah, no, unfortunately Jose could not join us. We miss you, man. Hopefully next week. All right, so let's start us off on now. How are we gonna rank these? How do you want to rank these?
Probably just the same that we did force users, right? Where like S is like, I don't know, like they can carry a game, and then F is there for sure a liability.
Well, just so everyone knows, there are some operatives missing, and those are the force users. We did force users last month, so we figured we'll do tier list without the force users because I mean, force users are definitely going to win in the operative slot because they're just so
Right. They're just so good for all the, well, they're worse now, but they're so good for all the objectives.
Why you gotta remind me, Daniel?
They're still better than all these people at objectives almost across the board.
Yeah.
But yeah.
All right, let's start with Padme. I'll go first. Okay. I feel like you're gonna put it lower, so I gotta combat you on that. I want to put her in A tier, and the reason why is because she is a great token generator for the clones. And I feel like that's so important. Even though they nerfed the standby sharing, it's clones love sharing tokens. And with Padme, you can share them as much as you want. She has quick thinking, so you always get an aim and a dodge. You can take an extra aim or extra dodge if you need to. Anakin loves these tokens for free, which is important because they work really good together. I'm always rooting for an Anakin and Padme combo. Aside from that, she has Secret Mission, which I hardly think you're ever going to use. I think the main reason you're going to want to play her is for generating tokens. She has Sharpshooter 2. If you want to take her range 3 gun, you can to get that oomph. But I don't know. My thing about Padme is just like, I get that she doesn't do a lot more than what people want her to do. And her command cards are okay. But I feel like, you ever play StarCraft?
I did, yeah.
You remember the shield battery for Protoss?
Not really. Sorry, I
So,
only played it briefly.
okay. In the game, there's this shield battery, it's kind of the same thing, where you build it, and then all your units that are getting their shields depleted, if it's in range, it refills the shields up, and it's super good and very good defense wise. And I feel like clones love that defense and offenses purposes. And so, like, even though that's her only role and it's only her best role, um, that's all you really need her to be. That's it. So that's my
Yeah.
pick.
So I mean, I would probably give her an A if she was a commander.
Mhm.
The problem for me is that she doesn't fill that commander tax, right? She doesn't. She's kind of expensive. Like she's really, if you look at like Leia, right? Leia provides a lot of tokens for you as well and fits
Mhm.
that commander slot and is 15, 20 points cheaper. That's
Sure.
that's a lot. So it's hard for me to look at Padme and say that she's like a good addition to your average clone list. I don't think she is. And I think that's why we don't see her run in very many clone lists. I agree I think she works well with Anakin, but
Mhm.
I think she's kind of situational. And so because of that, I'd probably give her a B. Like I do think she provides value to some lists, but I don't think overall, I don't think she's I think the main reason that she sees play in Republic is because Republic does not have good operatives. If you look at Republic's operatives, they don't have good options. If they
Mhm.
had Jedi in those operative slots, I don't know if you'd ever see Padme get played. But
Yeah, but I mean, it's also I think a good thing that she's not a commander because you're fighting so hard for those commander slots in
no, I agree that I just mean that she doesn't provide that
the
commander
attack.
tax. So
Yeah,
she
yeah.
probably needs to be 15 points cheaper if she's going to
Mhm.
fill like a similar role to Leia. Now, I love her quick thinking. I think it's interesting. She fits a good role, right? I think she's a solid average character on the board, but I don't think that she's good enough to give her an A. I don't think she's above average. And I
Yeah.
think that's why she's really only seen with Anakin.
Makes sense, man. I don't have a lot of experience, so I'm gonna go with you on this one. I'm gonna put it at B because, like,
We'll just
I
go
get,
every other. You get the next one.
yeah. All right, S tier on R2D2.
I'll go F. We'll average it C.
Yeah. Okay, we'll move on to R2D2. Okay, R2D2 is for Republic and the Rebels. So I kind of want to look at this as what's the role he serves. Honestly, he got a little bit more expensive. You kind of really don't want to do Secret Mission all that much. I mean, Secret Mission is very. I feel like you have to spec into that if you really are
Yeah.
going for that. And I think he has a role for that. If you get like battle lines or danger close, like those big ones.
Yeah.
Other than that, he's just a repair guy. He used to be a really cheap repair guy, which was really good and a good thing for the Gar. And then Rebels is always fighting for the hero hammer, right? I actually want to put him to C because he
Yeah.
just
So do you have, this would be my follow-up question to you. Do you have a different rating for him in Republic and Rebel? Or do you think he's just
no.
C for
I
both of them?
just see
He's just
because
a C character.
yeah, because I feel like in Gar you take him to repair. And then I think you have to like Gar's always fighting for its points, right? If you're taking
Yeah.
this, I think you're sacrificing too much for secret mission. Um, and then Rebels, I think same thing, Hero Hammer. Like you could try secret mission, but that's not always reliable. And I don't know. Yeah, I just think C for both.
I think that for me, he plays that CD line for me, where I
Mhm.
think he's probably a C for Republic because they have like the saber. if you're making a Saber Cody list, you'll probably throw an R2 because that's a great repair for him,
Mhm.
right? You might get secret mission out of it if your opponent picks a bad deployment. You could probably take a pretty solid bid and make a good shot for it because you don't have any expensive Jedi in that style of list. But he's so situational, and I think in Rebels he's kind of just trash. They want Hero Hammer, and they don't have a lot of operative slots to spare. I almost always fill all my operative spots when I'm playing Rebels, and none of them are R2. So for me, he falls in that CD. So we can pop him in C, but low C for me, definitely a low C.
Yeah, I just feel like you're right. He's overshadowed in Rebel. And then in Gar, like you could take him for a saber list, but in my opinion, you're not shooting the saber, right? If I see repair guys, I'm not shooting the saber. I'm trying to get your clones and everything else.
Maybe I think because there's a lot of impact in the meta right now, you might try
Mhm.
to shoot the saber. Like if I showed up and I had three HH12s, I'd try to kill the saber, and then R2 would provide some value, even if it's just the deterrence of like, oh, he'll protect the saber, so I'm not going to shoot the saber now.
Yeah, yeah. I just feel like that makes people rage so much when you shoot the saber and it saves on reds. You're just like,
It's true.
why?
Yeah,
Why
it's
am
a
I
feel
shooting at
bad.
this? Yeah,
Yeah.
it's Dark Troopers all over again. All right, moving on to Sabine. You first.
Okay, so for Sabine, I think Sabine is a little bit overpriced. I like her as a hero. I think she can do some things well. So for me, I think she falls in a B. I don't think that she's anytime you try to put too much weight on her, she just fails her Mando saves. And she doesn't do as much damage as like other big Mandos. So
Yeah.
she's not going to be able to carry a full game. But if you like mix her with some other people or build a good list around her, she can perform well. So I'd put her in B.
Ooh, B. With saber or without saber?
For me, I think you always have to run Saber. I don't think her pistols do enough because she doesn't get over cover.
Yeah. What is it? 2 dice or 3 dice?
3 dice. Gunslinger's nice. It's range
Yeah.
2, and you're
Yeah.
not shooting over cover. So
Yeah.
it's kind of, I know my brother loves the pistols and he always
Mm,
tries to build her pistols. But the truth is, if I see a Sabine running pistols and she jumps towards me, I'll just let her shoot for a couple
yeah.
rounds. You killed
Yeah.
4 stormtroopers.
Yeah.
Whoop-de-doo. Now you
Yeah.
die. So
You're right. You're right.
that's my opinion. I could just
Mm.
be, I love melee centric lists. So that might just be my leaning. But
Well, I agree with you because like the cover rules really hurt her bad. And
yeah.
just like you said, these Mandos, other than like the ones that do like the core, not the core, the special forces, the other Mandos just don't do a lot of damage. Dan doesn't do a lot of damage. Guard doesn't do a lot of damage. Sabine, like I don't really understand why they have such shitty guns. I don't even think there is a Mando that does really good damage. I mean, you could run a special forces.
Boba does solid damage, I
Sure.
think. Only
Empire.
Empire Boba
Oh,
though.
the Empire. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And I think that's an oversight on the whoever made the extra 3 cards. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I think you're right. I think Sabine needs some love. I do think she is good to be in B tier, only because her defense capabilities. Like
Hmm.
you have to fail them to feel bad, which is that's the case with everybody. But she's got great defense. She has a shield, she has a nimble, and she has surges to defend. And like I don't know how many games in the beginning of Legion when I would shoot at Sabine, and she would just save everything. It was so
Yep.
frustrating. But like
She does do that some games.
yeah, it's so frustrating. But she ends up panicking. But yeah, so
Yeah. Yeah, but even in those games, like my problem with her and why she doesn't get up to A for me is even in that kind of game where she's like, oh, she's a rock and she's holding the middle, she's probably not doing very much damage. So it's
mhm.
like, oh yeah, probably should have just not shot at her. Like after the game, you're just like, oh, I just shouldn't have shot her because she didn't
Yeah,
do anything.
yeah.
Like,
That's
yeah.
my like maybe the bombs kind of scared me in the beginning, but like if you just run into melee with her, she's gonna get hit by the bombs as well. And
Yeah.
then like yeah, that's just
Though
my
her saves are
problem.
pretty good. She probably shouldn't take many wounds from her bombs. I would still set off her bombs,
True, but like
but
just like the
I believe in
case.
reckless bombing. It's more exciting that way.
Well, I agree with the fail safe stuff because like when Nick ran Boba at me in his land speeder, I was just like, I can't shoot anything. The only thing I can shoot at is Boba, and I
Yep.
might as well. And I shot at him, got 2 crits through, and he failed both of it. Changed
And
the
that's
game.
terrible. That's so bad. Yep.
Yes, that lucky shot changed the game dramatically. Um, okay, moving on. We got Chewie. What do you think?
All right. I think Chewie. for me, I think Chewie's an A. I think that he serves a role and he serves it super well. I don't think he's going to carry games for you because if your opponent decides that Chewie's a problem, they will just blow him up because white saves are not going to last that long. But his Guardian makes it so that you can run like more fragile gun lines way more effectively. And his teamwork with Han is just really, really, it works really well.
Sure.
But I'm also biased. I think that Han and Chewie are super fun to run together.
What grade did you give him?
I'm giving him an A.
An A. Ooh, I want to give him. Oh man, this is a tough one because I understand why you gave him an A. Like he's got 9 health, but like he's got Guardian what 2,
Yeah, I think Guardian too.
and he can Guardian for everything, and then get that charge and infinite courage. But in my
Yep.
opinion, this is your easy target to kill.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
probably.
So like, I mean, he's not doing a whole lot other than Guardian. I don't think you play any of his command cards except for maybe Notorious Scoundrels.
Yeah,
But
that's the only card I would take for him. But
yeah,
with Rebels, you usually are stretched for command cards anyways. So it's kind of nice to have a guy who's like, I'm only contributing one.
that's true. That's true. But like, oh man, I'm not scared of Chewie when I see Chewie. It's just all right. I'm a different. I want to give him a B. That's all I want to do. So what do we decide? C on me?
All right, so the last one broke in my favor, so this one breaks in your favor.
B.
That makes sense. That's what
Okay.
we'll do.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay. Yeah, just because like I love him. He's got 9 health, he's got the charge ability and everything. But unless you're building a list around Wookiees and stuff like that, like the
Well,
Guardian.
I just think like if you do with like the veterans and the veterans, the MK2,
Mhm.
he can make it so you can get those guys in position. And you're like, oh, you want to blow them off? Well, you can't because you have to shoot Chewie. And yeah, you'll kill Chewie, but then they'll be ready for their fire supports with something else, or other people will get in position. Yeah, Chewie's not going to be the one dealing the damage. He's too fragile
Yeah.
to be that.
My
But
and my other problem is that like I totally get why you Guardian for him to soak the wounds, but MKs save better. Like
they do. Well,
yeah, because
do they?
they surge to defend. Chewie does not. And so like they have 4 health. I think, in my opinion, you let 3 of the attacks go through to see if you fail it, and then you put everything on Chewie. Because then you have
Yeah,
a
no,
better
I mean,
yeah.
I think that is what you do. With Guardian in general, you always let the better saving unit take as much as they can without being detrimental.
Mhm. Mhm.
But I still think it provides a lot of value. But yeah, B makes sense.
Mhm.
He's kind of in that same class.
Okay.
I still think he's an A, but
All right. Rebel Boba. What do you got?
oof. Rebel Boba.
Rebel Boba.
I this is the one operative that I've never run
Mm.
because I keep making lists and thinking I'll put Rebel Boba in this one, and then I look at his stats again and I'm like, he's garbage. I don't want to run him. Why does he have Arsenal 2? I don't understand. I hate him so much. So for me, like this is probably, in my opinion, like a D character. He's not as fast as other Mandos. He's only got jump 1 instead of jump 2. He only goes 2 instead of 3.
Mm.
His standby, his independent standby is phenomenal. Obviously, like probably the best independent in the game. The problem is like his shot is 4 dice and it only has sharpshooter 1, not sharpshooter 2. So even if you get him off, like best case scenario, you get 2 shots off, you're shooting like an average amount of dice with sharpshooter 1. It's not amazing, and that's your best case scenario. I I don't like him. I think he's really bad. So I'm
We
gonna give him a D.
D day.
Yep. I think he's trash. I can't find a single list like everybody else we've talked about so far. It's like I find a list where like it makes sense to take him. Anytime that I might take this boba, I'll be like, Din's better.
But what
Give him
about
the.
running Din and Boba?
I'd rather run Sabine and Din. Better.
Okay,
There's
okay,
in my opinion no list where he provides something that another alternative doesn't do better.
okay. So I've only played this list like 1 or 2. Uh, now I understand Empire better is Boba. The Empire Boba is better because you can take all 6 of the command cards in Empire. But I really like. I made a list with 3 snipers Leia, Din with the ambient rifle, and then I think it has some vets with the range 4 gun. And turn 1, play roll with respect. Like you're picking off quite a bit right off the bat. Oh no. You do Leia's 1 pip, the one where she
For
shoots long range.
bombardment.
Yeah, bombardment. Turn
And
1.
then turn 2, you're set up to do your big sniper shot.
Yeah, so then you pick off everybody else. Like you get in position and then you pick off everybody. I feel like that's a good combo for the rebels because they
It's
surge
not
in.
bad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not the best either because it's like how much value you're gonna get all of it.
Yeah.
But that
And then
standby.
the problem is like, because I played a rule with respect list at the last tournament I went to, and I think rule with respect is a pretty good card. It's not as good as it feels like it is when you're like looking at it. When you're making your plan, the plan always sounds better than it executes on the table.
Mm.
And then the second thing that I found with it is it means that Boba's way out of position for the rest of the game. Because round 2, he's sitting in the back, which neither Boba wants to be in the back. This Boba wants to be in melee, which is weird, but that's what he wants. And the other Boba wants to be at range 2. And so both of them are upset when it's like round 2 and they're still hanging at range 5 away from the other army. But that's just my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, it makes a good point. Like I feel like if you do range 2, roll with respect, not range 2, round 2, and then turn 3 you move forward, and then hopefully turn 4 you play his spin to win card.
His spin to win card, he's so slow on though. So
Yeah.
slow. Like he's not gonna get in.
Mandos just make or break on their saves. I mean,
They
it's true
do.
for everybody, but
And
that's just what.
but that's why I think he doesn't work because the thing Mandos have going for them is they have speed 3, and so they make it so you don't get many shots on them. Speed 2, I have speed 2. I'll just back up and shoot.
Yeah.
You can't gain any ground on me. Like you might push me off objectives, but if I'm really scared of you, you just won't catch me.
I agree.
I
Yeah,
just
yeah.
I don't like him. I don't like him so much.
Oh yeah, I'll put him in low C, like a C minus, but you win this one, so I'll put him in D. Okay, moving on to Din. Now, Din with Grogu makes him an F already because
Obviously.
I hate double-edged swords in anything. That's why I don't run supply drop. I just feel like
Supply drop's so fun though.
it's fun. Don't
It's
get me
in almost
wrong.
all of my decks, but also it's because my decks are aggressive, so they're running across the field collecting stuff. So in my mind, I'm like, I'm gonna get more boxes than you, so it's better for me. But
Have you ever got more
it's not
boxes?
wise. What?
Have you ever got more boxes when you've done that?
I almost always get more
More
boxes.
boxes? Yeah,
Yeah,
I just the supply drop's a whole nother thing. Like, in my opinion, the moment you need something, you're not gonna get it. The moment your opponent needs it, they're gonna
it's
get it.
true.
You know.
The only time I run supply drop, the only time like I'm serious about like it and using it is if I have vehicles that are important to me and characters. Because then you're like, oh, you give me the arc welder, I'm super happy. You give me the Bacta, I'm super happy. And then usually your opponent's only gonna have one of those. And so it like greatly increases your odds of getting something of value.
True.
But it's still sketchy. You're definitely still throwing dice when you don't need to.
Well, that's what my point about Grogu is that Grogu gives you a victory point, and normally you're gonna. Okay, Din wants to be a melee, so
Yes.
if they have a melee centric unit, which usually is a force user, they can kill Din just fine, and now they just got a victory point. And most games are lost by a point or two. This could change, and it's like you get, yeah, Grogu.
No, I completely agree. Grogu basically is a dead upgrade. In my opinion, yeah, Nick says this all the time, but he needs to be free because his cost is that he's so dangerous. Like you're gambling the whole game on keeping Grogu around.
Yeah.
So he should absolutely be free, and even then, I'm not sure I'd take him. I'm pretty sure I wouldn't.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's too much to risk the game on if it's tournament play. And then on top of that, like his damage output is okay. It's not great. He wants to be a melee, but man, I don't know. I just like you said, they don't do enough damage. They don't do enough to like win the game for them. They can't carry it on their back. But I think he's just. I want to put him in C tier. Like, okay,
Woo.
yeah.
I think Din, my opinion. Well, I mean, you go ahead and finish yours.
Okay, I'm just saying, in Rebel, I think they can afford Din more than the Empire can. And And Empire has the better dice pool that they can Din could actually clean up off of Empire dice pools. Whereas in Rebel, she could fit in there with a lot more stuff, but they don't have the dice pools for him to finish stuff off. That's my take. So that's why I want
It's
to put him in
true.
C.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so I've taken Din to the last two competitive events I've been to,
Mm.
and I've had a lot of success with him. So Din is actually, in my opinion, probably the exception to the general rule of the Mandos being like sketchy.
Mm.
I have gotten my points out of him almost every single game because he's able to get into melee and he does a lot of damage once he's there because he doesn't have to shoot through cover. Now, his approach is not great, but if you get him in, which is not that hard because he's speed 3 jump, once he gets in, almost every game that he's gotten in, my opponent has panicked. Now, maybe that's not warranted, but when you have a Mando in your lines, it freaks you out a little bit. So he gets in, your opponent panics a little bit, probably makes some sketchy moves because they're freaking out about Mando there, who's probably going to kill like, 4 models a turn. That's probably what he's going to do. Probably punch 2, probably shoot 2. But I think he's actually really, really solid. Also, I think he's the first bounty hunter we have that's a melee bounty hunter.
Mm.
And I've got more bounties on him than any of the other bounty hunters, which is crazy because I ran CAD for a really long time.
He is the
But
first. Yeah, you're right. He is the first melee bounty hunter. But he's
Asajj
got the,
jumped in like right after him, but
yeah, yeah.
he was first, and it's really not that hard to collect a bounty if you're able to just jump on him and hit him to death. So I think because his bounty is more valuable to me than most of the other people's bounties. Like anybody else who has bounty as a keyword just means that, the battlefield will shift a little bit so that that person stays on the opposite corner of your shooter, right? If I have Bosk, they'll stay in the other corner so that it's range 5 or there's line of sight blocker. If it's Din that has bounty, Din's just going to try to jump on you. So there's not a lot you can do about that. Like you can keep backing up, but I don't know. I think Din's really, really solid. I'm going to give him an A.
An A?
An
Oh,
A.
wow.
Yeah. For
Wow.
me, in my opinion, I think he's somewhere. His big weakness is force users. That's his big weakness. And with force users getting nerfed and nerfed and nerfed, he's just getting stronger. So I think he's sitting between an S and an A for me because he does, without Grogu, he brings a high potential for a victory point and at least like enough threat of that where your opponent has to change their whole strategy.
What do you think he's better with, Empire or Rebel?
I think everyone's better with Empire right now, but I really like him with Rebel. If you're able to run a melee centric list, right? If you put Sabine with him or Luke with him, that's what I ran. I ran Luke and Mando, and I think that was really strong because those two get in and things are just dying. Things are very quickly dying.
Here's my problem with Mando. Like, I do agree with you. It's a lot easier for him to get the bounty because you're usually bounding the generic commander, and you want to dive in on somebody and then shoot at the generic commander. My only issue is Din wants to stay locked down, so he has to spend his 3 blacks on the Rambia rifle to do immobilizes to the people they're engaged with, and then that's only 3 dice to shoot out, which usually you can hide your generic commander behind the line of sight blocking. And I guess I'm a little biased because I play CIS. I kind of approach Din like I approach Obi-Wan. I'm just gonna ignore you. Like, don't get me wrong, I'll hide my commander, but other than that, I'm just gonna ignore you because you have to spend the 3 dice to lock me down. Because if you don't, I'm moving back and unloading.
It's true. The thing that he has, I think CIS is absolutely his worst matchup. I think just really my experience has been that right now with where the meta's at, he is really good because Jedi are kind of weak and Empire's really strong. And he is great at dropping shore troopers and stormtroopers. He drops them like nothing. I get my value out of him after like 2 attacks. You can do whatever you want after that, but I've eaten like 4 rounds of fire from stormtroopers and I've killed a bunch of your heavies. So I'm happy. I do
think it hurts him that he doesn't have Pierce. I think
he has lethal on all of his stuff and he gets a free aim every turn. I haven't had that much trouble getting Pierce off.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you want A, I want C. Average or going?
We'll give him B. We'll give him B. But with contention from me because I think he's probably one of the strongest operatives we're going to talk about.
Interesting.
If not I think he's up there.
I feel like
I've
this
really
is
shifted my opinion on him since taking him to a couple events,
I,
just where
I
things are at right now.
I feel like this is a Dooku thing where you're calling me out on Dooku. You need to bring him then. And are we
I
gonna see
brought him the
him?
last two events.
Yeah, you know what's bad about the last
I
event?
won that event. I
We
won an event with him.
what event? Oh, you
The
did. You
bounty hunter
did.
event.
Yeah, you did bring that
Yeah,
event. That's right.
with
That's right.
Rebels.
But I mean, to be fair, I did exactly what I said I did. I just ignored him and then
Yep.
just yeah. But like,
Yep. Yeah.
um, yeah, yeah, yeah. I want to give it to you, but at the same time, I'm just
No,
like,
I agree that he has weaknesses, but I think since we're talking about non-force user operatives in that pool, I think he's
yeah, I agree with you
really,
there. Yeah,
really
yeah.
effective. Obviously, you bring force users into here. I'd probably put him at a B if you're comparing him with other force users.
I forgot. I
But if you're
forgot.
saying there's no force users, I think he's really good.
No, I agree with you. There's no first user he does exceptionally well. And I forgot in our game. Oh yeah, why did I just force him pushing out shoot him? Oh, I did. And what
You
did he
did,
do?
and he
He,
stood
he
there like a man.
saved. He saved everything. So frustrating. Yeah.
That's an
So
atypical performance for him, like 63 out of 64 saves.
I would argue the opposite. You don't want to make those many saves. But yeah. Um, okay, B tier. All right, now we got IG-11. Ooh, I want to put him in D or F. Reason is you have to take his 3-pip, which I think is not that good. Like, because you're forced to take it, and essentially he's got to die to make good use of it. It's a dead 3 in your hand because if you're playing poorly, you're probably gonna end up dying before you can get that off anyways. And if you're playing good with him, you're not dying and you're never gonna get that card off anyways.
Right.
Um, and then his gunslinger isn't that great. Same problem with Sabine getting behind
Yep.
cover, even though he has sharpshooter 1, it's just not enough damage output. And
Yeah. His long range gun is like a black and 2 white, right?
yeah.
So you have to hit one of those 2 whites or else you're not getting anything over cover.
Mm-hmm. And his 3 is 2 black and a white. And then even those, if you take the bounty program for Empire, he's got Pierce 2. Cover is just too good in this game right now. There's too much cover everywhere, and you don't get really a lot of value out of it. You never take the nanny program unless you're doing memes or you're having fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, so you just yeah. What else did he have? It's 2-pip. I can't remember what his 2-pip and his 1-pip did.
He has the one where he like moves and shoots, and then he has the other one where he gets steady.
Oh,
So he has like the donut and he has the
yeah,
steady,
yeah.
right?
Well, you know what? The donut has gotten better because it used to be just range 2. Now it's range
Yeah.
2 to 1.
But that's not so it's great for IG because IG couldn't target multiple people as easily, but he can already do gunslinger. Like how many more shots is he gonna get off?
right.
He's gonna get a lot more off? Probably not. Probably not
Mm,
gonna get more than 3 people at range 2. But
I want to put D. What do you think?
I would go D or F. For me, I think in Rebels for sure he's borderline useless. Because like you said, he's got that 3-pip that is just terrible, and Rebels want their command cards. That's super important to them because they want to run Hero Hammer. If you're taking him, you're probably taking 2 or 3 other heroes. And you don't want to have his 3-pip clogging up your hand. The one way to work around that obviously would be to try to use Lando, right? Because then you could contingency stuff out. But then what makes me sad is that Lando's 2-pip, where he gives out a free order, can't be used on bounty hunters. So Lando's not a good bounty hunter commander, even though feels like he should be.
Yeah.
So that's a separate complaint. But like if Lando was a little bit different, then I think he might have a place in Rebels because you'd be like, oh, there's a Lando IG-11 combo. But there's not. So yeah, he's terrible. I don't think he gets enough damage over cover. And I think Armor 1 makes you think that he gets a lot of that he survives a lot, but IGs die really fast.
And there's a lot of crit and impact in the game right now. Yeah.
Yep.
You know, you convinced me. I want to say our first F tier.
Yeah.
Yeah. He just that. Yeah. There's so many things.
Yeah.
All right. I know where I want to put Empire Boba. I'm curious where you want to put him.
So for me, I think Empire Boba is really, really solid. It's hard because he's such a glass cannon. If he does well, if he makes his saves, then he does just take games and say, I win. And there's just nothing you can do, and your opponent is so mad because you just keep rolling those red surges.
Oh yeah.
So I would probably give him an S because I think he has potential to straight carry the game, but with like the 10-point increase, it's a really low S. Like maybe I would not complain about an A, but I do think he can carry a game still. So I would give him an S. I would give him an S.
I actually disagree with you. I want to put him in F. And here's why. Here's why.
Wow.
Because at range 2, he throws 5 dice, surge to crit. It's Pierce 1, I believe, or Pierce 2.
Pierce 1.
Pierce 1.
Pierce 1, impact 1.
He's got speed 3. He's got 6 command cards, which, he obviously, I feel like you always take Ripcord. And then
Yes.
and
Yeah.
you probably don't take the marksman one. You could take rules of respect, like the argument we had before. Spin to win would be nice because he's got speed 3. And then what's his other one? His other one's the rocket.
He's got the flamethrower and the rocket.
Yeah, the flamethrower. And the Empire Boba doesn't get the flamethrower, huh?
He can. Yeah, either one can take it.
Okay, cool. So yeah. So then you slap the flamethrower. Like I feel like he's just really good at being up close and playing objectives. And like he's got the same problems Force users got, as they want to hide on their approach there. Anybody getting shot at on their approach is just sorry in general. But he actually has better saves than Force users if they don't have dodges. So I feel like he does really well at that. And like range 5 dice, Pierce 1, no cover, I think it's pretty solid. And so
it's really good.
Yeah. And then you, like you said, you get independent aim or dodge. So that's why I want to put him in F tier.
An S tier?
F tier. I'm just kidding, S tier.
It's like, wow, I don't understand at all.
No, I agree with all the points you made. I think this is our first S tier because he's in an army that's doing really well. Things are relatively cheap with big dice pool. So this is just a bonus for him to be in there. And he has a bounty keyword. So he can get that bounty relatively easy. Not maybe as easy as Dan, but he's definitely got the firepower to back him up when he goes in.
He does, yeah. The one problem that I have with him, right? So the big difference, I would say, probably the one advantage I would actually give to Din is that when they both have their dive turn, right? And I ran them side by side at the last event, so I saw this play out over and over. They have their dive turn, both of them jump, they're coming towards you, and then Boba stops and shoots, and then Din jumps on top of you, and so then Boba gets shot to death, and that's just how it plays out. Like so. If Boba's able to survive that first round of like a full that turn where he's in the middle, like doing damage, and he's able to survive that whole turn, then yeah, you probably won the game. Yeah. But a lot of times he'll either be forced into hiding because he'll take some damage when he does his first little play, or he'll get shot off the board. And if he's shot off the board, that feels bad, especially now that he's a little bit more expensive. So that's my one reservation with him is I do think that like because he doesn't hide in melee as well as some other people, he can get in trouble easier than the melee centric champions.
But just the value that you get, I know aside from that 10-point increase, it's just too good to pass up.
It's really good. It's really good. And he is so flexible with his 6 command cards. Like I think almost every time I run him, I only take 3, but it's so many different options. It's so many different builds for Boba. You're like, oh, I could do this or I could do that. He goes with a range gun line pretty easily, or he could be part of your impact generation, or he could be, what you're going to use to clear out large swarms of enemies. He's very, very flexible.
I agree with you. I think, out of all these characters, the one deserving to be S tier is Empire Boba.
Yeah, I think he is the strongest character right now.
Yeah. All right, moving on to IG88. What do you think?
I think IG88 is good. I think also he's very cheap. And so I think for his points, he really performs. I haven't seen him do really bad in a game. His armor, while it doesn't make you invincible and it might give you like a false sense of confidence, it's basically cover 3 is how it usually plays out.
Yeah.
So he's solid. I would give him an A. I think that he's not going to carry a full game because I don't think he doesn't have as much damage output as Boba has. He just doesn't. He's probably not going to be able to make the plays that Boba can make, but he's going to be pretty consistent.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think his command cards are way better than IG-11. The fact that he has independent on his cards and his 1 pip, I believe it's his 1 pip, where his bounty can't spend tokens when they're getting shot at. by
I think that's
IG88.
yeah. I
Yeah,
think that's his 1 pip. Yeah.
yeah. I think it's either the one or the two. I think is well, he's got two pips,
Yeah.
but I think it's really solid because like you could. It's not as good as boss range because you really want to be in range 3 to shoot 6 dice. Um, the fact that if you have IG88 on your team, I think a force user player has to. If you've got to bounty the force user, and then your force user player has to like be wary about going in because you go in, they move away, and IG88 says like, "Oh, nice dodges, boom." But I agree with you. I think you put him in A because of his dice pool and the fact that he can shut down your opponent's green tokens, which is huge. And
Yeah.
the only one that could do that is by a command card, and that's only one turn. So.
Yeah.
All right, your favorite, your lover, Cad Bane.
I love Cad. Like Cad, I don't think is the strongest guy, but man, he's fun to play. He's so much fun to play.
Yeah, he
Um,
is. He is.
I think Cad has gotten weaker with the way that things have shaken out. One of his cool things used to be that he was really good at getting around people's cover. He was also very good at being in cover. And now everyone's good at being in cover, and it's almost impossible to get around cover. So that's hurt him a little bit. Also, as dice pools get bigger and bigger and bigger, danger sense is worse.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
with that stuff, I also feel like he has a pretty drastically different rating in CIS versus Empire. And Empire,
Ooh.
I'd probably put him as a C. I don't think he's good. I think I think because you don't have enough order control to actually use him properly, he'll end up stuck in a dangerous situation and get blown away.
That's true.
In CIS, I feel like he's good, but he just doesn't have enough damage output to be super impactful in the game. And with dice pools being big, he's no longer able to be. I always used to use him as a bullet sponge, right? You put him out there, you basically bait people into shooting at him all game, and then you pass all their suppression back to them, and they're super sad. It's my favorite thing to do with Cat.
Yeah,
It's so much fun.
So good.
The problem is that now you put him out there, and they'll be like, "Well, let's not shoot at him until we have a really big dice pool." And then you walk up with Death Troopers and take one massive shot, and he dies. So I would give him probably a B for CIS and a C for Empire.
I agree with you on. I think he's a D in Empire because order control for Cat
Yeah,
Bane
he
is a
might
big
be a
thing.
D in
Yeah.
Empire. I don't think you might be able to build a specific list for him in Empire because he is still solid. And Pierce is really good because everybody's running Empire. So then that you're gonna get value out of that. But being at range 2 and having no order control is just so dangerous.
Yeah, it really is. And like I agree with every point you made in CIS. I remember I ran a game against Nick and I was just like trying to get that combo off of spreading out the suppression. He just didn't even shoot at Cad. And like that game in particular, my 4 dice is just not enough because I was blanking on a lot of
Yeah.
them. And I feel like Cad always wants to move and shoot. Well, I guess he can aim and move shoot because he has steady. But if you blink it on those black dice, he just did nothing that whole turn. And then Gunslinger is not that great. And if you just ignore him, like you said, until you have a big dice pool, he's not going to do much.
Yeah.
So I do agree. I feel like I want to put him in A for CIS, D for Empire, because even though he doesn't shoot a lot or he doesn't get that much dice pool, his order control is so good in CIS.
And he's really cheap. He's pretty cheap. He's on the cheaper end of bounty hunters, and he's actually really threatening for melee people because of his gauntlets. So he has some he definitely brings a lot of value. It's just you usually need to bring something else to be your main piece. So I don't think you can give him an A because he can't be the main focus of your list or you'll lose.
You want to settle on B?
I'll settle on B. I think he's probably a B.
Yeah, because I don't think he's worse than
No, yeah.
Padme and
I don't think he's He would only be lower than a B in an Empire list, in my opinion.
Yeah. No, I agree with you on that one. All right. Bosk. Now, I've had some playtime with Bosk, not a lot. I have more experience playing against Bosk. So I'm more interested to see what your take is.
Bosk is I'm just sad with where Bosk's at. He was really cool. And then scale became just absolute garbage. And it became so easy for people to get cover. And he doesn't have any sharpshooter. He has no sharpshooter at all. And that feels really bad.
Only on his 1 3-pip or his 2-pip?
Yeah, on his 3-pip, he'll get sharpshooter 1.
Yeah.
But as for most of his shots, he's not getting any sharpshooter.
Mm,
And it's just, I don't know. I think he was really in a solid place. And then when the errata hit, it hurt him pretty bad because he's not as mobile anymore. And he's
mm,
also not getting through any out of cover shots. Because you used
yeah,
to be able to, because he's such long range, you usually catch out people. But now,
mm,
like, people don't even have to think about it and they're accidentally in heavy cover almost all the time. So you're not
mm,
catching people out as much anymore. You'll just get them in the same spot that where it's like, oh, they're charging across open ground, but they already knew they were going to do that. So it's probably not an important unit, and probably anyone's going to get that shot. Bosk
yeah,
isn't doing anything special.
yeah.
So I don't know. He has play in some spots, but he's too squishy at range 4 because other stuff shoots back.
That's true. The meta is range far.
For me, I think we've really stacked this up, but I think he's probably a B. I think he used to be an A, and now he's a
Mm.
B or a C.
What do you think he's better
Um,
in, Empire or CIS?
I think he's actually interesting because I think he works well in both.
Mm,
He likes Empire because Empire gives him aims. So a lot of times he'll have bonus aims, which he loves.
yep.
But then CIS will give him order control, which is super important because he's super squishy. If he
Mm,
takes 2 shots in a row, he will die, like
yeah.
almost unquestionably. And so then the order control is really nice. So I
Yeah.
think he actually works pretty evenly in both. But I think I'd probably put him at a C right now. When I see, if I'm playing against a boss, I'm not really that worried about it because I probably have something at range 4 and I'll just
Mm.
wait for him to shoot and then I'll shoot back and hope that I get priority next round and kill
Yep.
him.
It's funny because like I looking at this list and I'm just like, Bosk, in my opinion, I gotta put him in B because he's definitely better than Chewie, Sabine, even Padme, because he's the only effective user aside from IG-88. Well, even more than so IG-88 that can get the bounty at range and then run away effectively, right? If you can manage to weaken whatever's coming closer, or you happen to catch a generic commander out in the open, I mean, out in the open, right?
Yeah.
You can shoot at them, and then boss can go in, snipe it, and then run away with it. And I think that adds huge value because I've actually seen people get bounties off of boss and then run
Yeah.
away. And that's, I would say, arguably the second
It
most
brings a lot of
reliable.
value. It
Yeah,
does.
yeah.
The trick, so when I ran Boss CAD, because I ran
Mm,
Boss CAD for kind of a long time, I didn't get almost any bounties off of Bosk. I think I got more bounties off of CAD. I didn't like keep stats on it, but that's for sure the impression I have. Just
mm,
because the issue that you run into with Bosk is you want to be basically range 4 from their front line because you can't get shot. If their front line is shooting at you, you're gonna die. So you're range 4 from their front line, and then usually it's some generic guy, and so then he's like range 2 from 2 further away. So then you only probably get 1 shot at collecting the bounty, and then usually they'll get 2 or 3 shots back, and you have to live through those. But if you do, yeah, then you get the bounty.
yeah,
But I found like he's way less likely in my book to get a bounty than not CAD.
yeah,
Probably about even with CAD,
yeah.
but way less likely than my boy Mando.
All
He'll
right,
get the bounty.
you have more experience here with boss, so I'm gonna give it to you. You want C?
I think we can put him in B.
You think
I
so?
think B's probably fair because he does still provide a lot of firepower, and your opponent does kind of have to shoot him.
Mm,
But if you're bringing him and you're like, oh, my list is about Bosk, you're gonna be disappointed.
yeah, yeah,
Because if your opponent decides your list is about Bosk, they'll just kill him.
yeah. I agree with you. I think he's definitely a good support to whatever it
Yeah.
is that you're trying to build towards. Great complimenter for that.
Yes.
Well, I think this is our first tier list. It's only our second one, but it's our first one where we've actually filled out all the slots. Are you
Got it
happy with
all.
everything is, or do you want to move something around?
Oh man, if I could do one thing, I would take Mando and bump him to A. I think Mando's an A
You
tier
think
hero.
so?
Yep.
Okay.
I think he's better than the people that he's on the same row as.
I'm
But
gonna give it to you because I don't have that much experience playing against, like, I don't have that much experience playing him as opposed to playing against him. And I have to be a little bit biased because I'm mainly a CIS player, and so my solution, it works better than
yeah,
anybody else's solution.
that is
So
true. He's really bad, in my opinion, he's really bad against pikes and he's really bad against battle droids. Not really bad against battle droids, but ineffective.
yeah,
You probably won't get your points there. But those aren't the meta. You're not
yeah,
running into a lot of battle droids, you're not running into a lot of pikes. And so
yeah,
he's gonna probably kill stormtroopers and get you a lot of
yeah.
value. At least that's been what I run into.
Fair enough, fair enough. I'm gonna go with you on this one. Um, yeah, I'm pretty happy with everybody's at right now. I feel like this is a most accurate one. Maybe. I don't know.
So out of these operatives, who have you used the most?
Oh, definitely CAD. If we're not talking force users here, CAD has been the most reliable one because okay, I'm barely getting the Empire Army. Shadow Collective is also my second one. So I have more play experience with Cad Bane, and that was before he even got all the buffs and became better, and then
Yeah,
got worse
yeah, I played
because
him
of
then too.
covers. Yeah, so Cad, he's got these cool shenanigans. He's the only one that can start off on a box. He's got a bomb. You know, he can definitely like grab it, run away, and then he loves getting shot at, just like you said. Then he can distribute the suppression tokens. So yeah, so CAD is the one I have the most experience with. I played against the other ones, have a little bit of experience, but I want to play with more boss because now he could be in CIS. But I've been
Yeah,
hopping between Shadow and CIS the whole time.
Bosky is funny because I think he works well in Shadow. He works well. He works like average everywhere he is, and he kind of feels the same because his independent isn't that important. So you don't
Yeah.
care if he has an order really.
Yeah.
And yeah, whereas like CAD, he's got a right spot and a wrong spot.
Right. Yeah. All right. All right, everybody. That's gonna be our tier list. Thank you guys for watching. Unfortunately, no rules questions today. But we'll definitely
We
have
figured
them.
them all out last
We
week.
figured them all out. There's none new ones. No, I just didn't get time to look at them. But join us next week and make sure you guys check out Veterans Game Fest. I'm gonna have the info in the description, and I will see you guys next time. Yep.